G'day and welcome to the channel. Comix in Japan is a channel that will be covering, but not limited to, the following topics: Western comics in Japan, intro to comic shops in Japan, independent creators, independent comics, other topics concerning WagaComix in general. In this video, we will cover what is WagaComix and what we do. What are amecomi? When did WagaComix start? How did WagaComix find indie creators to publish? Digital or printed? How do comics compare in the manga kingdom? Submission workload. When people in Japan think comics, they think amecomi, an abbreviation of American comics. This comes from the mainstream publishers like Marvel and DC. With the almost non-stop superhero movies coming out, even if the average person doesn't know what Marvel or DC are, they would be able to reference a character of the franchise. Since starting WagaComix 3 years ago, I have been pleasantly rewarded with discovering comics outside the mainstream, from not only the US, but the world over. WagaComix, at time of creating this video, has delivered or will deliver once translation is complete, comics from Australia, America, Chile, Mexico, Brazil, Spain, Italy, France, and the UK, just to name a few. All of these being delivered to the Japanese readership. You should see samples of the independent comics and their locale of origin scrolling across the screen now. These are but a small sample of what is available. WagaComix has many more awaiting translation. So, who is WagaComix? In short, WagaComix is a local company in Japan specializing in localization and publication of Western independent creative works. Publication is done in both digital and paper, with digital being the main medium. WagaComix was started in July of 2019 with a focus on independent creators in the US. These creators were raising funds to complete their projects on sites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo. This was a double-edged sword for WagaComix. Many creators would be interested and agree to having their creative work localized, but never followed through. In fairness though, they were also busy with their campaigns, and you can't translate an incomplete creative work. During this period, we did get a small collection of titles, and one that was a complete series. WagaComix's first comic, and also first complete series, was Exilium by Ben Silbach. Through both his introductions and continued following of crowdfunding campaigns, our catalogue grew to almost 10 individual titles. Yeah, it was small, but it was a good start. I had said that this was a double-edged sword for WagaComix. Some creators were struggling with funding, and so their series was either incomplete or were limited to producing one issue a year. For independent creators, comics are created by a team, with each part of that team writing the story, doing the artwork, doing the lettering, and coloring, all being done by different people, each needing to be paid for their work. Many creators need to raise funds before they can hire the team for the work. I can certainly empathize with that. The path of the indie is not an easy one. While WagaComix's first issues were being translated and edited, I also looked into printing, as creators like to see their work in print. Many months were spent looking for appropriate printers, but they were either not interested in printing comics — remember, this is Japan, comics were not that very widely known — nor were they interested in doing small lot orders, or just simply way too expensive. WagaComix tested one company, and it did print to a satisfactory quality. It was, however, just too expensive. It would price our comics over the 1,000 yen mark, which is too much for comics, especially when mainstream comics were selling for 500 to 900 yen, though at this price point, the comics were not even translated. Market research, although not manga specific, but generic to digital media consumption in Japan, revealed that Amazon was actually the top digital media provider in Japan. So our first sales endeavor was to list on Amazon Kindle. Amazon Kindle was our main platform for the next year. We were also on Comixology, but the overhead in preparing Comixology-specific formatting and lack of sales — our comics were in the Japanese language after all — saw us focus on Kindle. We were slow, but steady sales. However, It goes without saying that Japan is the manga kingdom. The sheer volume of titles, both mainstream and independent, is enough to provide a lifetime of reading. Comics are quite the niche sector, with consumers mostly interested in mainstream comics from DC and Marvel, etc. For WagaComix to penetrate the market in Japan and expand awareness, Kindle alone was not enough. At around the 1-year mark of operations, WagaComix was able to meet with the domestic digital distributor. After discussions and WagaComix meeting their requirements, the door to over 200 digital platforms was opened. WagaComix was given access to the rice fields. But access alone is not enough. Like planting seeds, our titles were released, depending on genre, to over 200 individual digital platforms. It was now time to permeate the manga market and bring awareness to foreign comics available in Japanese. About halfway through 2020, WagaComix's recognition outside of Japan started to increase exponentially as we transitioned from actively searching for titles to add to receiving requests to localize works from small press publishers like Cloud9 Comics, Amigo Comics, Leviathan Labs, Artist Go/Action Comics, Maho Editions, Red Dragon Publishing, and participation with US publishers like SourcePoint Press with Ben Slabak's Mechanics. This rapid increase in partnership and publishers brought in an absolute avalanche of titles to be localized. This has caused a backlog so large, we currently, at time of creating this video, do not accept new submissions. Please check our site to see when submissions are reopened. Although that submissions are closed for the moment, in the past 3 years, we've been extremely busy. We have over 27 titles spanning more than 100 issues worth of indie stories, translated or in the process of being translated, with many, many more to go yet. We've been very fortunate to receive the support from 4 of the 5 comic shops here in Japan. We've also, through our first attendance of the Tokyo Comic Con last year, picked up 2 other retailers who are interested in carrying WagaComix titles. Although this has been an excellent start with great support from both readers and stores here in Japan, it is only the beginning and there is more to come. This video is meant to be an introduction to WagaComix and its services. I'm sure there will be some areas that might interest you that were not covered, so feel free to leave a comment below so I can cater future videos to your interests as much as possible. And thanks for watching.